All right, cutting across to some updates coming in from Parliament, and this time about an India Today interview that has echoed in Parliament. Pollution has finally been mentioned in Lok Sabha, and this thanks to the SP chief, the Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav, who mentioned the India Today interview. Akhilesh went on to say that investments are down in India because of pollution, and he said that it was that interview, the Davos roundtable hosted by India Today, where this was brought up. Just to jog your memory over there, remember that there was a roundtable held at the World Economic Forum that was hosted by India Today, hosted by our Vice Chairman Kalli Purie, where in a question that she asked Gita Gopinath on ease of doing business, the response she got from Gita Gopinath was that air pollution is a bigger problem that India faces than US tariffs. And that quote being picked up by Akhilesh Yadav while he was making a point in Parliament. Let's listen in to what he said.
ठीक ही कहा हमारे माननीय सदस्य ने कि जो संपन्न हैं, प्रिविलेज्ड हैं, वो लोग तो पानी साफ करने की मशीन खरीद सकते हैं। हमारा गरीब क्या खरीदेगा? गरीब की हेल्थ को कितनी परेशानी और रिस्क है। यहां तक कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय प्लेटफॉर्म पर हमारे देश को भी सुनना पड़ा एक प्रतिष्ठित चैनल पर कि आपके देश में इन्वेस्टमेंट क्यों आएगा, क्योंकि वहां आ ही नहीं सकता है क्योंकि आपकी हवा खराब है।
All right, you heard Akhilesh Yadav over there, but what exactly was that statement that he's talking about inside Parliament? Let's give you a glimpse of that. This is Kalli Purie of India Today in interaction with Gita Gopinath and several others at that roundtable in Davos.
Gita, I don't know whether you know, but there's a Rajiv Guava committee which is looking at deregulation. I want to ask you, is making another committee to get rid of bureaucratic red tape the best way forward?
Well, I assume that this is not just a committee for its own sake, but the hope is that it's going to come up with actual actionable plans.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, India needs a lot more deregulation. It is still, in terms of ease of doing business, it is still a challenging place to do business. I'd love to hear from you in terms of what challenges you face. So taking out more and more of the archaic rules that have held back businesses is absolutely critical. But then all other aspects of India will also have to continue in terms of the reforms will have to continue, the ones we talked about on land and labor. One of the areas I wanted to point out, which we usually don't talk about when you're talking about business development, is I want to talk about pollution. Mm-hmm. Pollution is a challenge in India, and if you look at the impact of pollution on the Indian economy, it is far more consequential than any impact of any tariffs that have been put on India so far. If you look at the annual cost to India's GDP of the level of pollution that you have, and it's not just the effect on economic activity, but it's also the loss in lives. I mean, the numbers are really large. Based on a World Bank study that was done, I think it was published in 22, about 1.7 million lives are lost every year in India because of pollution. That's 18% of the deaths in India. I think even from any international investor's perspective who's thinking of coming in and putting up a shop in India, if you have to live there and you have the environment is not of the kind that you feel that, okay, this is going to be consequential for your health, it holds you back. And obviously, not to say, but all the Indians that are living in this kind of pollution. So addressing that on a war footing is critical. I mean, this has to be a mission, a top mission for India.
All right, so you notice over there that the question was not on pollution. The question was on ease of doing business, and Gita Gopinath on her own brings up the pollution issue, and that statement has now made its way to Parliament, Akhilesh Yadav raising that matter as well. Let me cut across to my colleague Aishwarya Paliwal on this one. Aishwarya, for months now, we've been talking about how pollution is not a priority. Today, finally, it's been mentioned at least. It's not been picked up for discussion, but at least mentioned. We're very glad that our coverage has been quoted over here. He talks about how, we've been constantly talking about pollution and how now it's being raised at international forums as well. But what exactly was the context of Akhilesh Yadav's speech where he spoke about pollution?
Sonal, he was speaking about budget and how what he was expecting from the budget and what the budget did not deliver. He also, in fact, spoke about the fact that on our channel, the root cause of what exactly is happening in India and how economically it is hampering us, how it is damaging us, and how it will have a long-term impact on our economy. That is something which we now need to very clearly look at. Now, pollution, Sonal, you rightly pointed out that this was something that we were hoping that the MPs will be speaking about. The MPs, in fact, were most of them, the Congress MPs last time around, were speaking about it, but on the floor of the parliament, so far, the government has not had a discussion on what exactly it is doing with regards to pollution. Akhilesh Yadav, however, now spoke about the fact that it is something which the government should very keenly look at because it is hampering our economic growth. It is leading to many, many deaths, and it will have a long-term impact on our GDP. So.
All right, Aishwarya, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed with that. But stay tuned. We've got more Parliament updates coming in on what exactly happened there.